everyone. Welcome to Studio Classroom on the Air. This is the place to come when you want to have some fun. My name is Rebecca, and I know that your English will improve today. Imagine you had the opportunity to travel around Europe. Well, that might be like a dream come true for some of you. What mode of transportation would you prefer? Would you prefer traveling by plane, by bus, or by car? Wait, hold on. Did somebody say by train? Well, that's exactly what I was thinking. Today we are continuing our lesson from yesterday called Riding the Rails, European Style. And we're going to talk about how you can see Europe by train. Well, friends, I know you have your magazines. Make sure they're open to today's lesson, and let's get started. So follow me.
Riding the Rails, European Style. Granted, a Eurail pass is often not the cheapest way to see Europe. Sometimes an alternate mode of transportation is cheaper. But how can you decide which option is best for you? Travel by a regular train, bus, or flight might be better if your dates are fixed, your hotels are reserved, and you'll only make a couple of short or very long trips. However, a Eurail pass might work better for you if you're under 28. If so, you qualify for a youth ticket, which is around 20% cheaper than a regular Eurail ticket.
Well, let's get right into our lesson here, talking about the Eurail pass. We read, granted. A Eurail pass is often not the cheapest way to see Europe. Now, yesterday we've already mentioned how Gabe and myself have both been to Europe, and Gabe, you already experienced using the Eurail pass, right?
Yeah, it's true, and it was great because I'm glad we made that decision to go from Amsterdam all the way to the south of Germany on a train with the Eurail pass. I guess we could have rented a car, but that would have been just a long way to drive, and we just wanted to sit back, relax, and enjoy the scenery.
And sometimes that's what you need to do when you're traveling, right? Now, I know many years ago I had an opportunity to travel across the United States from California all the way to the East Coast.
Oh, yeah?
And it was amazing. It was beautiful. It was about 4 days of traveling by train. And you get to see things on the train that I feel like you would never see anywhere else.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because you can kind of just sit back and actually notice what's going on.
Right.
When you're driving, sometimes you're just focused on the road ahead of you. So this is a great option, the Eurail pass or a train trip like that. But it's not for everybody. Sometimes an alternate mode of transportation is cheaper. And before we continue, I think we need to take a look at a couple of things in this sentence.
Right. We need to start with that word alternate. This just means that you use something in place of something else.
Okay, so for example, maybe you usually go to work one way, but because they're doing construction on the road, then you need to find an alternate route that is just a different route to get to work. That's just another way to use that word. But we see another phrase here, a mode of something. What's that all about?
Well, when we talk about mode of, that just refers to the method or the form of something.
Okay, so we're learning about different modes of transportation. That's probably how I use this phrase most often, right? How many different modes of transportation can you list in English, friends? Of course, we're talking about trains, planes, cars, boats. These are all different modes or forms of transportation. But maybe you're talking about a mode of operation. That is the way that you usually operate or do something.
Right, exactly. So, of course, in our lesson, we're talking about the Eurail pass and how it's not usually the cheapest way to see Europe, and how sometimes there might be an alternate mode of transportation that is cheaper. But we see a question here. But how can you decide which option is best for you? Travel by a regular train, bus, or flight might be better if what, Gabe?
Okay, well, first we have your dates are fixed, your hotels are reserved, and you'll only make a couple of short or very long trips. Actually, that's not just the first tip here, that's the only one. The only reason to travel by flight or bus or just a regular train.
Right. So if your dates are fixed, and if they're fixed, that means that they can't be changed, right? And you already have hotel reservations, and you're only going to make a couple of short or very, very long trips.
That's right. So it was a good thing that we took Eurail Pass when we went to Europe, because we wanted to go to a lot of different places that were actually very far away, and we stayed in places that were very far away, okay? So Amsterdam, south of Germany, different places there, as well as Prague in the Czech Republic. So it was very convenient, even though it was a little expensive, it was convenient to use a Eurail Pass.
However, a Euro Pass might work better for you if you're under 28. If so, you qualify for a youth ticket, which is around 20% cheaper than a regular Eurail ticket. Gabe, do you qualify?
Well, I did about 8 years ago.
Okay, got it. So the answer is no, you don't qualify
anymore.
right now. Well, that's okay, because it could still be worth using a Eurail Pass.
That's true. It is very true. Now, we've talked about dates a little bit here, like you need to know what dates you're going to be traveling. Have you heard of blackout dates?
Blackout dates, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's learn more about that in the Info Cloud.
Welcome to InfoCloud, everyone. Today we are going to talk about travel plans and blackout dates.
That's a term that you might run into when you are trying to book a hotel or a flight at a discounted rate.
One of the frequent types of discounts that you see is an early bird discount. In this case, an early bird is someone who books a room or flight early.
Sometimes you can't get the discount no matter how early you book because of blackout dates. Usually those dates fall during a busy season.
Another way to get a cheap flight is by using travel rewards. Those are rewards offered by companies for loyal customers.
In general, those programs are called loyalty programs. For airlines, they are also called frequent flyer programs. Points you earn can be exchanged for flights or hotel rooms.
However, you often can't redeem rewards on blackout dates. Let's say you have a hotel that you stay at frequently when you visit relatives.
Slowly, you earn enough points through their loyalty program to earn a free room. So you decide to use your points for New Year's Eve on your next visit.
Unfortunately, New Year's Eve is a blackout date for your hotel's rewards program, so you can't use points for your room on December 31st.
But maybe you can use it for the night of the 30th. And that's the best way to deal with blackout dates. Be flexible.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Studio Classroom, where we are talking about traveling around Europe, European style, and of course that is by train. And if you're going to travel by train, why not get a Euro Pass? However, this isn't necessarily the cheapest route to go, but it can be very convenient. Well, we have more to learn about the Euro Pass now, so let's do it.
Riding the rails, European style. You're traveling with children. Kids under 12 travel for free. Flexibility and convenience are more important to you than cost. With a Eurail Pass, you're not tied to a schedule. Many trains don't require reservations. If you miss one train, you can hop on the next one at a moment's notice. According to one passenger, A Eurail trip is the perfect way to explore Europe and its wonderful cities. It's more than just a train ride. It's a journey full of breathtaking adventures. Are you ready to begin your adventure?
Well, we are talking about the Ural Pass and when the Ural Pass might work better for you than other forms of transportation. Well, we already learned that if you're under 28, it might be a better option. And our next point we read, you're traveling with children. Kids under 12 travel for free. Now, it just occurred to me, Gabe, that when I lived in Europe with my family, I had 4 other siblings, and we were all under the age of 12.
Yeah, but you told us yesterday that you guys traveled by van.
Well, yes, we did. We traveled by van, and I wonder why my parents didn't want to travel with the Euro Pass, because we all would have been free.
Yeah, why not?
I bet the Euro Pass wasn't as popular way back when.
You know, you might be right. Well, now they know. You can travel with kids under 12 for free, or those kids travel for free. So here's a good idea, friends. Get married young, and then have some kids, and then go to Europe before you're 28. Then you can all go for cheaper with the Eurail Pass.
That is a really, really good idea. Yeah, keep that in mind. Anyway, let's move on to the next point. Flexibility and convenience are more important to you than cost. So if you're looking for a flexible and convenient way of traveling, then this may be a better option.
That's right, and it was very convenient when we used it. With the Eurail Pass, you're not tied to a schedule. Many trains don't require reservations. Before we move on, let's take a look at the phrase tied to from that previous sentence.
Right. If you're tied to something, this literally means that you're stuck to something. You can't get away from it. You have to do it.
Some people feel like they're tied to their work. I mean, it's one thing to be addicted and just love your work so much, but it's another thing to want to get away, but you feel like you can't. You're tied to your work. Some people I know are tied to their pets. They can't go on any vacation because they're afraid of leaving their pets with somebody else. They're just emotionally attached. They're tied to their pets.
Great examples. Well, of course, we're talking about the Euro Pass and how you're not tied to a schedule. Many trains don't require reservations. If you miss one train, you can hop on the next one at a moment's notice. Now, we want to take a look at this phrase, at a moment's notice. This just means that you're not given any time without much warning. It just kind of happens.
Exactly. This reminds me of some of our morning meetings here at Studio Classroom. We have a full company meeting, all 100 or 150 of us get together. And, well, some of our coworkers are singers. They're prepared and trained to sing at a moment's notice. And that's what happens sometimes. Our boss calls on them. They weren't ready for it, but since they already know how to sing those songs, they're ready at a moment's notice to stand up and sing something for everybody. They do a great job.
They do a very good job. Or perhaps they already sang one song and then our boss decides, oh, you need to sing another song. So that happens at a moment's notice as well. But of course, in our lesson, we're talking about if you happen to miss one train, no worries, because you can hop on another train at a moment's notice.
You know, I should say something about this.
Yes.
I know it's not in our lesson, but you do need to look at all the rules and guidelines for your Rail Pass, because we were allowed to get on a train, but we had to make sure that it ended at the destination before that day was over. We couldn't just get onto... we could actually get onto several different trains in the same day, but once it carried over 12 o'clock midnight, you couldn't.
Oh.
You know what I mean? So you got to be careful. You got to know when your train's going to arrive somewhere if you're planning on using that same day's pass to ride another train.
So definitely make sure you look at the guidelines before you go purchase a Ural Pass. Know what you're getting into. Well, according to one passenger, a Ural trip is the perfect way to explore Europe and its wonderful cities. It's more than just a train ride. It's a journey full of breathtaking breathtaking adventures.
And if you get a seat next to the window, you can enjoy some breathtaking scenery. Well, our lesson ends with a question: are you ready to begin your adventure? Before you go to Europe and get a Eurail pass, right now it's time for us to end our lesson with a review skit.
Anyway, hey, I heard Europe offers some amazing scenery.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Let's go. Can you ride the rails in Europe?
Yes, you can, but you have to buy a ticket.
You have to pay to ride?
That's right. But you can get a special ticket that lets you travel to thousands of destinations.
Oh, interesting. That sounds like it's a good way to go. Is that true?
It's called a U-Rail pass.
A U-Rail pass? A me-rail pass? A U-Rail pass?
U-Rail pass.
What kind of a name is that?
It's a brand name. It's a brand name. Only visitors can get them.
Huh. So, how do those U-Rail passes work?
Well, you simply jump on the train and you show your pass, and then you can travel with ease.
I'd like to experience that kind of convenience. So, how do we get these U-Rail tickets?
You can buy them in Europe, but it's cheaper if you order them before you arrive.
Huh.
They'll mail them to you.
Oh. Well, how long are they good for?
You can choose the length of time. They give you your information at the train station before you embark.
And then we just jump on board?
Yes, sir. Then
All
you
right.
sit back and enjoy beautiful landscapes from the comfort of your seat.
Imagine a comfortable seat. I bet that's pretty expensive.
Granted, it's not cheap, but hey, what a perfect way to explore Europe.
Oh, I'll say. Sounds like more than just a train ride.
Oh, yeah, it's a journey full of breathtaking adventures, I'm sure.
Hey, well, let's go to Europe and ride the rails. What are we waiting for?
The next train.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, this has been a fun lesson, and perhaps you are inspired one day to go to Europe and travel around Europe using a Eurail pass. I haven't had the opportunity yet, but maybe one day I too will be given that opportunity. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Studio Classroom.